Okay, so for these, I need to save my stun when they're healing. Just that! Just this! A mob has a single mechanic that you have to think about and counter. That is more what modern MMOs do. One single thing! Oh, this mob heals. So I need to think about when I use my stun. Just that is more than what modern MMOs do. Just that. So I just got level 25 in Dreadmist, and I was going into this game with absolutely zero expectations. And just to preface this, this is not the best MMO I've played, or the savior of 2026, or anything even remotely close to that. But there's a lot of things that we need to talk about, especially in the context of the greater MMORPG genre. Because as simple and indie as this game not only looks, but also plays, it gets a lot of MMORPG elements right that big companies don't. And that alone is like the craziest thing to even say, because how could that possibly ever happen? How did we get to the point where some small indie, it's not even a studio, it's a guy in a garage who just made this for fun. We don't have to talk about the assets and what he's bought from shady Chinese resellers or something. But if one guy, just for fun, can create a better RPG feeling MMO than most AAA studios, then we have a big problem. And obviously this game looks a lot like, you know, old school Ultima, or some people are even comparing it to Diablo 2 or something like that. But to me, it feels a lot like a mixture of the old school graphic style with a classic WoW tint over it, or maybe even Ion 1, which was kind of a classic clone anyways, or vanilla clone anyways. The first big thing that I noticed is that the world is actually kind of dangerous. Now, this is a PvP area that I'm in right now, but I more want to talk about the mobs. There's minotaurs here, normal ones called horned beasts that have a stun AoE around you, a war stomp. Just like Taurens and WoW, I guess. But there's also chargers. So simply put, this charger, for example, if you pull him from range, he will stun you because he has a charge. But if you pull him without being in range and just walking up to melee, he doesn't do something like that. Same goes for just looking at the cast bar of a mob and then accordingly CCing him when he does a problematic ability. Like, mobs can absolutely kill you, especially if you're a little bit under-leveled. And especially if you pull more than one. This seems very simple, right? Like, oh, there's a mob here that has like one ability that is kind of interesting. War Storm, now I'm stunned for 3 seconds. I probably want to stun that or kill him before he even does it in the first place. That might seem very simple. But a normal mob, like just a mob you find in the world, in modern MMORPGs, is usually a brain-dead, like sandbagging target dummy that has literally not a single thing to his name and just sits there and chases you and auto-attacks you. Something as simple as adding a singular skill that you have to think about on a mob adds a lot to the RPG experience, because that means if there is some sort of danger that you're engaging with and you don't want to die, you don't want to lose durability, you don't want to walk back to where you were, you need to think. And that makes a world of a difference already, which 99% of modern MMOs already fail to capture. They only put mechanics onto specific story, whatever, boss fights, or dungeon bosses, or final bosses, or something like that. Every other mob in the game, we need to make it as brain dead as possible, so the most stupid ass idiot that plays our game doesn't get frustrated. That's something you need to learn from. AAA studios, Retail WoW is one of those. Lost Ark is one of those. BDO is one of those. Ion 2 is one of those. Something as simple as just making the world feel hostile to you, that you need to, oh, this mob is kind of hard. Let's see what kind of skills I have in my kit that I could use to counter that. Something as simple as that matters so much to the RPG experience, because that means Gear becomes much more interesting. Loot becomes much more interesting. Because all of a sudden, every upgrade you get actually matters. Because you actually struggle against mobs. And we can also talk about items real quick. Items in Dreadmist are actually quite unique as well. Most of them have RNG stats. And you can buy them at a vendor. You can trade with other players. They're not scared of someone, oh my god, someone might trade to a bot. I mean, I don't even know why I'm saying they. It's one guy. I'm so used to just blaming an entire dev studio that I completely forgot that this is just a single guy making this game. Obviously, if you look at the graphics, if you look at the combat, it's not terrible. It is smooth and it works. But it's definitely not like revolutionary. But something that I really want to emphasize in this video is how we have forgotten what even the most basic RPG elements are. That the multi-million, maybe billion-dollar studios don't even understand. If you don't understand as a game dev, as an MMO dev, how to make this game and why it's kind of fun, you have failed in your profession. And that's most MMO devs nowadays. And that also kind of ties into not only the items, but obviously abilities, as I already said. Like, I need to understand what my stun does, how much damage I'm doing. I need to gauge what it does. I also have abilities kind of reminiscent of vanilla WoW again. That, for example, this one protects an ally against fear, making them immune to the next effect and lasts for 5 seconds. This is not an ability you will use in every rotation. This is not something you just have a guide for and everyone says, oh yeah, after Holy Bolt, you press Dark Resolve. No, it completely depends what you're fighting against. And if there's a mob that you know fears you, you can preemptively overcome this. There's a skill ceiling in understanding what mobs do, even simple mobs, because there are just wolves in this game that fear you. So the moment you know, oh, the wolf can fear me, you are ready to press this. Something as simple as this. And there's other abilities like Mana Burn, or a Cleanse that also acts as a purge if you use it on an enemy. AoE Fear, damage reduction buffs, a dot. And I'm playing a Cleric, by the way, which is a healer. And I'm playing a melee build. Melee DPS Cleric. And it's actually really strong. I've gotten to level 25. Killed basically everything I got besides the final boss of the barracks. I was not strong enough yet. But something as simple as this matters so much more than game devs think it does. It just engages you with the experience so much more, and having actual tools on your character, that's also very distinct again. Different classes come with different toolkits that are good in different situations. It's not homogenous. It's not homogenized. It's every class has its own toolkit that they can use in certain situations, so they're better in some situations and worse in others. And there's so many people that come into my stream and say, what is this build? You have 435 strength as a cleric. That makes no sense. But it works because there are tools and things in place that make me be able to make my own build. Not just being on rails and everyone just telling me what to do. The game is telling me what to do. Like, even recently, Path of Exile 2 has run into this issue. Where they're just, every single class has like 2 builds that you're supposed to play because the developers told you to do so. This game doesn't do that. You can do whatever the fuck you want. And even the quests, which you can see on your map whenever you unlock a new one, they're very rare. There's very few of them. And the few that you have are not very handholdy at all. They tell you like roughly where to go. They show you on the map where these mobs might spawn. And then you're like, oh, this is like a grind spot. I can go here. It's more like a guiding line that pushes you in the right direction rather than just telling you what to do, following some terrible main story quest slop where some horribly voice acted or not at all voice acted NPC tells you the story of his life and you're the savior of the world. No one gives a shit about that trash. Stop with the main story quest sloppage. Give the players a way to understand the world, push them into the right direction a little bit, and let them fucking play the game. It's not that hard. And the obvious elephant in the room, this game is not only free to play, but if I press escape, you don't see anything. There is no cash up, there are no microtransactions, no one is trying to scam you out of your money here. Now, maybe you're being scammed out of your information. I'm not so sure about that, but it's a breath of fresh air to have a game that doesn't try to like scam you out of your money, you know? Just that alone, like the game is not designed for you to, or for them to create the problem and then sell the solution. A lot of game design falls apart the moment that happens because games are actively designed worse just so you fix the game by using your wallet. So I wanted to have this more of a little bit of a ramble and less of a review because this is obviously not a game you're gonna play for long. It's a small game. It's made by one guy. It doesn't cost a single penny. But I think it's very important that MMORPG game devs understand why this has gotten any attention whatsoever. Because it understands an MMORPG better than AAA studios have in the past, I don't know, decade. Because you guys are just completely losing your mind over forcing players to play whatever you want them to, instead of actually allowing a world to exist and letting the players explore at their own pace. And as I said, there's many different factors that play into this, and the biggest one to me is the world needs to feel hostile and dangerous for you to want to understand the game more, for items to feel better, for leveling up to feel rewarding, for your different skills and toolkits to come together better. Come on, MMO devs. Please do better.